Minnesota Vikings are casting a wide net looking for their next defensive coordinator, a hire that Kevin O'Connell needs to get right because he's now hiring a second defensive coordinator in as many off seasons. And a name that's popped up a lot has been Seattle Seahawks defensive associate head coach Sean Desai. Ben Gessling, source confirmed, blah, 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 Desai, da. They interviewed Desai for the job last year as well because so Kevin O'Connell obviously wanted a flavor that you savor from the Vic Fangio defensive tree. Didn't get Sean Desai, who spent a number of years in Chicago and then settled for Ed Donatel. Like we mentioned, the Vikings initially interviewed Desai last year for the defensive coordinator position, and Jeremy Fowler at ESPN even said that it was down to a final three of Desai, Anthony Weaver from the Ravens, and Aubrey Pleasant from the Lions. Ultimately went to Donatel for whatever reason. But Desai is a really interesting story. So he's 39 years young. He's got a doctorate in educational administration from Temple, is where he got his coaching start as a defensive and special teams coach from 2006 to 2010. Is a Vic Fangio protege. Also spent a number of years with Donatel in Chicago. Did spend 6 seasons with the Bears in defensive quality control. 2 years as Bears safeties coach, working with guys like Cheeseburger Eddie Jackson. And then 2021 took over as defensive coordinator under Matt Nagy after Chuck Pagano retired. And in the final year, only year as DC in Chicago, is the final year for Khalil Mack. Akeem Hicks is the last full year for Roquan Smith in the Windy City, who, remember, was traded at the deadline this year to Baltimore. And they got paid $20 million a year for an off-ball linebacker. Let's go. But also, Robert Quinn did get 18.5 sacks in the defense the final year that Sean Desai, only year Sean Desai was DC. And last year, 2 years ago, the Bears defense was okay. So points-wise, 407, 22nd in the league, which ain't great, but they were 6th in yards allowed. They were 3rd in passing yards allowed, but also they were 1st in passing yards attempted. So they had the fewest passing attempts on them in the league. So it's one of those chicken or the egg situations, right? So they're not exactly shutting down the pass, that teams just don't pass against them or whatever. 3rd down, 11th in the league, red zone 13th. So middling numbers, but did have an aging roster, and even though it was a pretty solid defense in 2020, it just sort of was what it was, and it was the final year of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, their GM. So Desai was let go after they cleaned house. Landed in Seattle as associate head coach for the defense. Now Pete Carroll's a defensive-minded guy, so obviously they work close together. And Desai has gotten a lot of credit for the quick development of the young players on the defense, particularly in the secondary. The development of rookies Tariq Woolen, who turned into a Pro Bowler, as well as Kobe Bryant coming out of Cincinnati. And that's something that the Vikings aren't going to need to work on very quickly, is getting these young cornerbacks up to speed, getting the most out of Cameron Dantzler, getting the most out of Andrew Booth Jr., getting the most out of Caleb Evans, getting the most out of Cam Beasley. So I think that Desai would make a ton of sense for the Vikings in this spot, because I think that he fits what Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are building here. I think that he's young. I think that he's forward-thinking. I think he's a bit non-traditional, coming from an educational background, working his way up through college, and then eventually landing on the Bears in 2013. So I think that it's a guy that they obviously had interest in last year. Didn't work out for whatever reason. Went to Seattle, added to his resume as the associate head coach for the defense there. And now I think it finally makes sense. I do think that Desai is probably going to be a hot head coaching name in the next couple of years. But I think that he does have to pad out the resume a little bit, and coming here and fixing what was wrong with the Vikings defense does make a lot of sense. Plus, like we said, O'Connell last year clearly wanted a flavor from the Fangio tree, or fruit from the Fangio tree, or whatever. Ended up with Donatel. Now you could get Sean Desai, a younger, better version, and also just completely tear down and rebuild this defense and then go from there. But your thoughts are thoughts. Getting to know Vikings defensive coordinator candidate Sean Desai. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.